You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson. Right now, it just sent a shiver of fear down the spine of Cleveland Browns fans. Many of you very split on the Browns even having acquired this guy to begin with. And then, of course, the fact that it's starting to roll downhill in a disastrous fashion. You've had 2 seasons of this guy, technically, and 11 games, suspension, civil lawsuits, one of which is not done. We haven't talked about that enough. There is one lady that's like, no, he's not getting away with this. And that may end up being the woman he ought to be concerned about. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but we know he's also not playing. He's not doing the one thing you acquired him to do, which was play. Never mind the fact that nobody knows if he can still play like he could play the last year he actually played in Houston. Because so far, when he is on the field, it's not been great, and we'll take a look at that. So, one of the most puzzling things over the last 3 weeks, and this has been a 3-week saga with Deshaun Watson since he abruptly decided to pull himself from the Baltimore Ravens game in which the Browns, that's got a very damn good team, by the way. This Browns team is really good, and they passed on a lot of free agent quarterbacks this past season. This is a Super Bowl roster, folks, and it certainly is a Super Bowl defense, without a doubt, okay? So he's been very quiet. He's been silent. He told his teammates, I'm playing, and then didn't play. His teammates were not happy with him. A couple of them have come out to try to smooth it over. My guess is at the direction of either Stefanski or their GM, Andrew Berry. Probably said, hey, look, you're the veteran, some of the veterans on the team. We need you to sort of smooth this out. It looks bad. Well, Deshaun Watson finally broke his silence, and it's still not good. You don't know when this guy's playing. You don't have a clue right now. And look, when Deadspin calls out the Browns as having made a disastrous signing, Deadspin, a media product that you would think would wrap their loving arms around Deshaun Watson. They have now called out Deshaun Watson and the Browns for having given a $230 million fully guaranteed contract. In case you're just wanting a frame of reference, this is where your quarterback's at this season. He's last in the league in passing yards. He's 28th in touchdowns. He's 29th. He hadn't thrown but 2 interceptions. That's pretty good as far as 2 interceptions. But currently at PFF, he's ranked as tied as the 19th best quarterback in the league, with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's got a back, had to be taken to the hospital. I mean, my God, it's really bad. So he broke his silence. Watson spoke to the media for the first time in 3 weeks prior to the Browns practice on Wednesday. Those 12 minutes did clear up exactly when the quarterback did little to clear up exactly when the quarterback would be on the field. Not the game field, the practice field. Quote, I mean, it can be any day. Thanks for that. Watson said in his first public comment September 27th, this is the 19th of October. This is a disaster. It can be tomorrow. It could be Sunday. It can be 2 weeks from now. I'm not even sure. Like I said, it's day to day, and I'm following the steps of the medical team. And when that time is ready, then I'm going to be out there. I can't put a timeline on anything right now. Can you do anything? Wednesday was not the day for Watson to return from injury to the rotator cuff in his right throwing shoulder. He was ruled out of practice an hour after he spoke. Watson's status seems tenuous for Sunday's game at the Colts as well. You know what's wild? Just a couple of days ago, they were talking that he was going to play versus the Colts, and now they're backing out of that. He had already missed a pair of games in Week 4 against the Ravens and against the 49ers. Look, kudos to that team for showing up against the best team in the league. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski didn't rule out Watson for a Colts game. However, he also stated that P.J. Walker would make his second consecutive start if Watson can't go. I think Walker practiced yesterday as the starter. Watson said he's been doing some throwing in the last week or so as part of the rehab. However, he didn't say exactly how much throwing he had done or if he had been able to throw with full velocity on his passes. Quote, it just kind of when it heals on its own. And I think that's the tricky part about it, Watson said. It's one of those deals where it's no different than a sprinter having a hamstring. It's just one of those deals where it's day to day. When it heals, it heals. Thanks, Dr. Kevorkian. From the research I've been doing and talking with the staff, I guess rotator cuffs are usually 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure. 4 to 6 weeks? Like I said, it's my first time dealing with it, so I'm making sure I want to do it right so I don't have any problems later on. Can you imagine Peyton Manning saying, I guess rotator cuffs are 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure. He would know exactly what is wrong with his arm and how long he would be out potentially. I mean, he would know that. Tom Brady, too. Stop. Franchise quarterback. Okay. The one thing Watson did clear up was the nature of the injury, which he called a micro tear in the rotator cuff in his right throwing shoulder, which is a strain. Wait a minute now. You guys know we have been covering this in depth, at length. That is the first time the word tear has been present. It was sustained on the 13-yard run in the third quarter of the win in Week 3 over the Tennessee Titans when safety Amani Hooker hooked him. Watson's injury has repeatedly been referred to as a bruise or contusion. Correct. It's been called a contusion, which is the medical term for a bruise. Nobody has mentioned a tear of any size. He did say he had been told by the medical staff the potential for the micro tear to develop into the kind of tear that would require season-ending surgery was not on the table. So they're telling him, we don't think it's going to turn into season-ending surgery. Yeah, a week ago, nobody thought that Anthony Richardson would be out for the rest of the year either. They haven't mentioned that part to me, so I'm not going to be thinking about that, Watson said. And that's another thing. I don't want to get out there and be hesitant throwing the ball or anything like that, so I'm not going to put myself first in this situation. Haven't you been putting yourself first this whole time? The last 2.5 years? I'm going to put the team first if the best situation right now is PJ going out there and performing like he did Sunday to help us win. Watson has dealt with injuries previously. He famously played through an ACL tear while he was still at Clemson. I mean, my goodness, this is turning in to a nightmare. However, the specific injury to his shoulder has been a mystery, in part because Watson doesn't know of many football players, specifically quarterbacks, how have suffered it previously. Come on, Akron Beacon. He said the medical staff was reacting, I guess, quote, maybe AC joints, but I dealt with the AC joint and you can numb it up. The AC joint like I did in college, but you can't numb up the muscle, the rotator cuff, and have control. I've seen people walking around talking about that. Go out there and play. I mean, if I can't control the ball, then I can't throw it, and there's no benefit to me being out there. So those are two totally different injuries. My question would be, your accuracy has been poor since you got back on the field to begin with. You had that one good game, but what's wrong with your accuracy anyway? It wasn't a problem in Houston, but it's been a problem since you've gotten back on the field. So that brings us over to Deadspin. My goodness. I mean, if you thought anybody would be carrying a "we support Deshaun Watson" with all of our hearts, minds, hearts, and souls, it would be the media entity known as Deadspin. And they are calling out Deshaun Watson for his contract and the Cleveland Browns. P.J. Walker pulling off the upset makes the amount of Deshaun Watson's guaranteed contract seem even more insane. That's a headline I did not expect to see from Deadspin. No matter the final score, triumph, or tragedy, it is something that the quarterback must carry despite how he played. And since that's the way things work, Cleveland Browns third-string quarterback P.J. Walker gets praise for the team's surprising win over the NFL's best team, the 49ers. But the game wasn't just an example of how any team can lose on any given Sunday. It was proof that the Browns' decision to give Deshaun Watson a guaranteed $230 million contract is one of the most head-scratching deals in sports history. It's amazing and it's baffling that they decided to do that. Crazy things happen in football weekly because football is a crazy sport. However, the difference between the amount of money Walker and Watson make may be craziest thing about what happened between the 49ers and the Browns. According to Sports Track, Walker is making $289,800 this season with Cleveland, as he was just on the practice squad a few days ago. And while the comparison is a theft of joy, in this situation, it's a great example of how a capitalistic society works. To most Americans, Walker has a great salary, but when you compare it to Watson, it makes Walker look broke. Due to the Browns restructuring Watson's deal earlier this year as it freed up almost $36 million in cap space, he's on pace to take home almost $19 million more than Walker. God. And this is where it gets worse, folks. From Spot Track, $19.125 million, 2024. Are you setting down if you're a Browns fan? $63.96 million for Deshaun Watson. And the same in 2025, 2026. An avoidable year in 2027. Yes, the Browns are on the hook to pay Watson more than $60 million in 2024 through 2026. I mean, that almost makes... my goodness. I mean, I think reasonably speaking, the Broncos could probably get out of Wilson after this season. Yeah, they're going to take a hit, but, I mean, that's kind of where it would sort of end, would be this next year. Maybe a little carryover money, whatever. This is fully guaranteed. And part of me believes, honestly, that maybe he doesn't want to play for the Browns. Because we got to remember, he removed himself from Browns consideration, and Haslam, like the bozo, the clown that he is, complete with hair, nose, and clown shoes, getting out of a tiny clown car, did a ta-da in front of Watson with a $230 million fully guaranteed contract offer, and all of a sudden, oh, the Browns sound good again. Okay. I mean, this is a disaster. It really is. It's a disaster of epic proportions. If you're a Browns fan, you're thinking, my God, there were a lot of free agent quarterbacks. There's going to be a ton of good college quarterbacks. What do you do? I think the only thing you could do would be to draft a quarterback and see what happens. I still think Dorian Thompson-Robinson at some point takes Watson's job before this contract is out. I wish they'd let him play, but I mean, there's something that they've seen there that they decided he's not ready. They want to let him sit, I guess, for the season. Tell me what you think, Black and White Sports 2 supporters. Wow, it's a nightmare. Peace, I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.